that are bubbling up about those two topics, please feel free. But the topic that we actually had on hand to speak about this month was seasonal cooking, which I want to say like, oh, it's winter and we're, you know, it can we can think about that in the context of how it impacts our eating and cooking and shopping. But it's also 67 degrees outside, or will be at some point today. So I do feel like it's an interesting time to talk about seasonal cooking, because the seasons feel so different than they once did, at least to me. But with all that in mind, the prompt we wanted to start with was, how does the current season impact your eating and or cooking and or shopping? And we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And it's just free for all. So unmute yourself and speak as you're moved to do so.
I'll try.
Don't be shy.
So I'm Furman. I'm Human Resource Manager here at Manna Food Center, and I'm actually at work. It's a great background that I've chosen. So yeah, as far and it's interesting because I hadn't thought about that. But I am a person that really like to be on the go, particularly when it's nice outside. And I know that it's interesting when you talk about season, it's not really reflective of February with 67 degrees outside. But because it's that, then I'll be doing outside activities, which means that I will probably be trying to eat something that it's probably not a heavy meal, something that's going to be a kind of light meal. And it's probably going to be something that's not going to be good for me. But I'm going to try to do better because I think that as I get older, I need to make sure that, you know, I get the right nutrients for my body. Because one of the things I don't want to do is have to slow down. So I'm hoping that I can get some ideas from you guys, some inspiration on, you know, types of foods that I can eat during this time, because my diet, quick background, I grew up in the South. I ate a lot of pork, and I still eat chitlins. I love them. So when it's cold, I tend to, you know, eat potatoes, eat heavy when it's cold. So having weather like this, it kind of throws me off a little bit, if that makes sense. So I don't know, ideas from you guys.
Thank you, Furman. Yeah, anyone else would like to share?
I'm from the South as well. I cooked chitlins for Christmas, actually. Where do you find yours here? I had to. That is a particular thing that I should not have. I'm just being very honest with you. I do manage my blood pressure through medication, just to share. But I really wanted something from home, and I didn't eat anything else though. I made it very exclusive, but I had to drive everywhere to try to find some. It's crazy. It's like they don't like that type of food up here or something, but I can understand it. My take on food generally has been, because of my heritage and where I'm from, has been like where I normally eat my feelings, to use like I guess a term that people are familiar with now. So when whenever I eat, normally it's associated with like the holiday. Like we find any reason to eat good. Like February, it is Mardi Gras where I'm from. So normally there's some type of gumbo, there's some type of jambalaya, there's some type of king cake, there's some type of pralines. A lot of food that people sell on side of parade routes, if you're familiar with a parade as a concept. But normally that type of fare is something that's normally high in cholesterol, you know, but it's fun. Normally paired with alcohol, in some cases. So I normally do things whenever I do eat bad, it's normally associated with something that I remember, like I wanted chitlins for Christmas and I had some support. It's crazy that you mentioned that. And whenever it is cold, I normally, I'll make some gumbo myself. It's a little bit more refined. It's not like as bad as whenever I would have it back at home. It's more like a glorified chicken soup now, as opposed to what it would be if I was at home, if I didn't want to get laughed off my block or what have you. But yeah, that's my opinion on food. I'm trying to get to know the seafood of this area, because this is a port, like people say this is a seafood place. It's just like, really? Because where I come from, there's a lot of seafood there. But we boil ours again in a totally different way than a bake, if I'm using the term right. But yeah, that's my take on food anyways.
Thank you for sharing, Joshua. So,
This has nothing to do with me because I eat the same food all year round, which is maybe not healthy unless it's salads. But I do know some people who, in the winter they'll eat like soup, almost soup, and won't eat it the rest of the year. And then they'll eat some not so hot foods in the summer or when it's warm out. But me personally, believe it or not, I eat the same foods all year round. Doesn't matter what season it is.
nice. My experience with food and season are different because in Africa we don't have winter, we have raining season, and we have dry season. That's why how we call it. So when I moved here, I learned that during winter, for example, you need hot things like soup. So I'm learning how to eat soups, to cook soups, because we are not used to it. We are used to things like plantains, very, very heavy things. But I learned that you need to accommodate yourself with the weather here, because you need something hot when it's very cold outside. And yeah, that's something that I'm proud to learn, and I'm trying to go that way. Yeah, that's me. Anyone else? Marlene, do you want to share something?
I think she's talking to somebody in there.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yes, somebody called me, but yeah,
sorry.
of course, I will share with you. Well, my name is Marlene Orantes. I'm working in expanded food and nutrition education program at the University of Maryland. But it's very funny because I'm the same with Agar. I'm coming from El Salvador, Central America, and then we don't have winter, spring, anything like that. But just through dry season and raining season. So anyway, we eat whatever it is available there, and then I enjoy fruit and vegetable. I don't like really too much red meat, but I enjoy seafood. This is that I love. So I'm looking all the time seafood. And as who was talking? Joshua was talking about seafood here, and then that's right. Yeah, this is the area for the seafood. Then I love to eat whatever it is. Right now, I'm finished my salad, and that's right. Yeah, this is my sharing. So I'm enjoying the food. I think that the food is very important for us. And I think that Jenna is with me, that the nutrient for all food that we have need to be good. Because as we grow up, we become older, and then we need to have a foundation and basic nutrients for all of us. So thank you for inviting me at this meeting, and then I'm enjoying all the time to be with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Anyone else?
Yeah, another
Yes,
thing,
Cynthia.
another thing that I would like to add on that seasonal is not only the importance for our body to receive the proper nutrients at the right time, but also the logistic side of the situation. When we speak about food distribution around the world, like if you want to eat avocados all year around in Maryland, the avocados probably come far from here, probably from California, probably from Mexico. So if you think about it, it's not only to support your body, but also to support the overall system, ecosystem. Because now, like, if you are buying products from the other side of the world, you're not supporting your local economy and you're creating more pollution. So that's another thing that I would like to share, because it's a little bit consciousness, like self-consciousness on like the daily habits and how small habits on individuals can create a big impact in the entire society. So that's another point that is.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And with all
that's
the
a very good point.
Yeah, and when all the food modifications, I was watching the other day a documentary on Netflix about the avocados. That's what I am putting that example, and how they even modify genetically the avocados in order for them to last that trip from the other side of the world to
To
the
here.
final destination. So if they want to fit like 12 avocados in a box, they're gonna genetically modify the seeds to create smaller avocados in order to create a higher profit.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, some little details like that are interesting to me, and it's like how big it impacts like the society. And not only that, like when they take off like half rib fresh produce, you're not receiving all the nutrients from the vegetable or from the fruit, because they take it off from the tree like too early to survive like the trip. So yeah.
I'm a bit sad because I love avocado. So
Yeah.
what do you advise me? Yeah, to
Me
do?
too. Me too, trust me, I know.
Seriously.
And it's like literally a mafia. Literally, it's a mafia. Like, and how greediness can actually change the path of
Mhm.
nutrition. And it doesn't make any sense when you see it from this point, but when you see it like through generations, that's why we're so sick.
Mhm.
Like, we do not receive proper nutrients, and we are not eating it at the right time for the right location.
Yeah, maybe the good advice is to grow your own avocado. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's-
I'm not sure if you could grow avocado in this climate, but if you're
Not
somewhere where you
here,
can grow
but-
your own avocado, absolutely.
But yeah, that's a little interesting detail that I found the other day, and I was like, wow, that's scary, honestly.
Maybe soon, maybe in a few years, we'll be able to grow avocados here.
Yeah.
How the climate is behaving, I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised.
Ah, that's
Jackie's been
terrible.
waiting patiently with her hand up as we
Yeah,
discuss
please,
our
Jackie, you have the
future
floor.
plans to start an avocado farm.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna build on what Cynthia started to say, and then she really had all these layers of like contradictions and kind of the trade-offs that you have to make. So like I was trying to hide that I'm eating citrus right now. So I'm not eating seasonally technically, but I'm eating something that I'm willing to eat. I don't like a lot of seasonal fruits and vegetables. And it reminded me this idea that Agar just had about growing her own. When I worked in the fair trade movement, there's only a certain parts of the world, regions of the world where coffee grows, and it doesn't grow anywhere in the United States except for Hawaii. So if you were worried about food miles, or if you were worried about, only buying locally, coffee was like, well, you're out of luck. But, and I think those of you who are experts in community education or your own approaches to health, like all things in moderation. So as fair traders, we would say, well, yeah, you can have that fair trade cup of coffee that came all the way from Ethiopia. But if you promise that you will also visit your local farmers market once a month or something like that. So just little ways that you can have your commitments, but also not expect to live on just whatever's grown in Maryland or what's grown to what Joshua and Furman were saying, and maybe a little bit Marlene too. You know, you can't be expected to only live your cultural traditions or eat your cultural traditions. There's a balancing act, so.
Another thing that I want to add is when I have my classes, I'm always encouraged the Latino community, especially, don't waste the whole food. Really, you can recycle your food, or if you receive food from some bank, you need to see what is the best to use. Because so many times they don't like to do that. And then just throw away the food. And then this is, again, as Cynthia said, is against to the planet. When you throw away your food that you never use, or maybe in the refrigerator for 7 days, so is ruin the planet. So this is encouraged to everyone, also to make food according to the portions. This is another thing.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But I don't know if people are really educated about all those things that you are mentioning, because they don't know. They just cook what they have, and sometimes they throw away everything. They don't know that it harms the planet. They don't know that it's a problem for other people. But I think it's a matter of education, and every time that we are talking to people, we have to also bring those kind of things up so that they're aware that it's good to eat the portion or cook the portion that you are expecting to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found out in Montgomery County that 40%, I'm not Montgomery County, or United States, sorry, that 40% of foods are wasted. 40%, that's high.
Mm-hmm.
That's really high.
It's high. Mm-hmm.
That's really, really high. And we have a super high rate of people having like food crisis. So if you imagine,
Yep.
Yeah.
like how and why, honestly.
And then I think that we can start in our home. For example, yesterday I was talking with my daughter and say, we need to eat a little bit, really, and then I don't want to waste my food. I want to recycle my food and another kind of recipe. Yes, she said, my daughter, yes, because it's against the planet, mommy. And then the food is a blessing. You don't have today, but tomorrow maybe you have, or today you have and tomorrow you don't have, and then you will desire that food, right? So this is we can stand in our places, in our environment, or in our home. This is an idea.
Yeah. I really like our program on food recovery. So yeah, trying to rescue the food from here to there, because we know that there are a lot of people who are going through hungry, and how can we use what people are not using to serve other people? Yeah. And I hear something from Jackie's contribution about eating what you like, not only eating something because it's the season, you know. So it should be avocado, the season of avocado. I like avocado, but when it's not the season, I will not. So I will try to get it from anywhere because I like it. So that is also something that we need to think about it. Are we eating just because it's the season, or are we eating because we love it, or are we eating because what we are eating is giving or bringing something to our body? I don't know how nutritionists are seeing this, but you can maybe contribute about tell us if we need to eat what we like to eat or eat what it's useful for our body.
Yes, only what's useful. I don't care if
Okay.
you hate it. I don't care. You're just you just pinch your nose and you just swallow. That's just, I'm sorry. That's just kind of how it is. Kiana wanted to say something.
Yes, Kiana.
I was just going to say one of the things that helps me to make better food choices and not go crazy when I go to the grocery store is never go hungry. Because I've gone to the grocery store on an empty stomach and come back with all sorts of ridiculousness. And then, you know, I have all of this fresh fruit and produce that I think, you know, this week I'm going to start the diet, right? And I'm stuck with like 5 pounds of lettuce that goes bad in 3 days. So what I've started doing is A, not shopping while I'm hungry, and B, fortunately I live close enough to a bunch of grocery stores where I'll just stop or go while I'm walking my dogs and pick up just enough for like a day or two. And also keeps my costs down, because growing up, I grew up with grandparents that were kind of like that food hoarder culture and clean your plate club. So it was, you know, the giant deep freezer with 8 turkeys in it for no reason, just because. And so breaking that cycle for myself has been one of my big challenges. You know, I'm one person in the house. I don't need a Costco card, really. So, yeah.
I agree completely with you, by the way, especially with the culture deal. We had 2 deep freezers, and it was because they grew up in an era where it was so lacking
During the
that
Depression,
they had
yeah.
that, you know, sort of double down on everything. They would just keep it until, you know, they wouldn't even remember what they actually had in it. And they would go to the store and buy stuff anyways. But
and the sales paper, you know, even though there's stuff on sale, the freezer is full, but this is on sale. All of those things. Double coupon day, you know. And it's still that way. My grandma's 87 and she has a deep freezer that's packed to the gills.
Yeah.
I'm glad that that was brought up, because when I think of seasonal cooking and seasonal eating, one gap I find in my own ability to do it as much as I would like is both the motivation and the knowledge and practice of food preservation. Because if I really wanted to double down on the concept of eating seasonally, what I would like to do is during the height of the summer, when the berries are plentiful and the tomatoes are plentiful, you know, I'd take all that, go out to the pick your own farm, and get a bunch of it and then freeze it, or process the tomatoes into sauce so I'd have that all year round. I've done these things occasionally, but I don't know about anybody else here, but I find it hard to do them consistently.
It is a lot of work.
What's that, Cynthia?
It is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of forethought, so that when in the middle of January, I want to have you know, a fresh berry something, or I want to have that food that I won't go out and buy, because not only do I think about the environmental cost, like Cynthia said, the cost of the food is way higher when you buy it at a time when it's not growing as plentifully as it would be otherwise. So it's also economically wise. So for these reasons, I try my best to eat what is being grown here at a particular time of the year, but there are many times where I want that food in the middle of the season when it's not growing, and I haven't necessarily had the foresight to preserve it in a way that it's then available to me later. And I do think that you know, I never learned that. It wasn't part of I shouldn't say that. There were definitely people in my family who we come from an Italian family, so there was definitely a practice of making tomato sauce and having jars of tomato sauce. No one ever, and I don't blame them, this is my own fault for not saying, like, Grandma, will you teach me how to make this? But nobody was like, Jenna, this is a really important skill that you have to learn in your life. So we're going to spend all day on Sunday, teaching you how to can tomatoes. So I didn't learn it from my family. And if we don't learn it from our family, it wasn't something I was exposed to in school either. So here I am nearly 40 and I don't know how to preserve, I don't know how to create or like can something in my own home. So yeah, I think if we really want to move that way as a society, like that to me feels like a big gap. We need to have more opportunities to learn and to practice those skills.
I would love to learn how to can. I'm just afraid I'm.
Oh, great, Kiana, let's do it. Let's do it together. Oh, right, because there's this fear around it, right? Because we all hear about we're going to get botulism. Yeah. And it is something you have to do. You have to follow a process. It's not like you can just throw something in a can and put a lid on it and put it in the cupboard.
If someone wants to do a training class in canning.
Yeah, Marlene, does Extension have some classes on food preservation?
Yeah, we have. I can send to you, Jenna, when it's available.
Great, we'll share with the whole group. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, of course.
Or I'll just go and I'll learn, and then next breaking bread, I'll do a live canning demo for everybody.
Yes. That sounds fun.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Any other thought?
I was going to say, I really relate to Kiana's point about going to the grocery store hungry. I do that a lot. And then I just end up getting like takeout, and because I'm like, I got to satisfy this hunger in this minute, instead of like thinking consciously about trying to put food in my body that's like good for it and giving it good nutrients. Because I definitely grew up in a family that didn't cook that much. So takeout was like the source of a lot of my meals. So now as an adult and like trying to be independent, I find myself trying to unlearn those habits, but it's so hard to completely change that because food is such a big part of our lives, that it's difficult to kind of unlearn the things that you experienced growing up or that your elders passed down to you. So yeah, I definitely relate to that, and I'm trying to like do it in small increments where I'm like, okay, at least like 2 days a week, I can like make a healthy meal for myself on my own. Like I can do it. It's not hard, but there's the mental blocks that we all have with things that we've experienced in the past. And it's hard to get over those humps. It's definitely a long, hard process.
Yeah, that's right. Habit is like a second nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Carol, you want to say something?
I just wanted, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure how everything's working. Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I've really been looking for a community kitchen where we could learn how to preserve food. And my thinking was that we could can food and freeze food in the high season when there's so much of it together, which I feel totally intimidated to think about doing this by myself, and that we could all donate a certain amount of what we make to Manna. And when I've looked into it, what I have found, so I'm very curious what other people come up with here, but the only extensions that actually have classes in this sort of thing are in Howard County, that there's nothing in Montgomery County, and which shocked me because it seems like Montgomery County should have something. So I'm very curious, if anybody finds something actually going on in Montgomery County, because I think this is a huge area to for something to happen. That's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, Marlene, is it something that would happen in Montgomery County that you were thinking about, or something that the state does somewhere else?
For what?
So for the food preservation. For canning.
I think that we have here in the extension, but I'm not sure who is teaching that class, food preservation. I don't remember is somebody that is new here, but let me try, and then I will send to you all the information. Mm-hmm.
Great. And maybe to Carol's point, Cynthia, I'm thinking about a particular kitchen that you're super excited about right now. Maybe we could host something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Any other contribution? So,
Can I?
yes,
Sorry.
yes, go ahead.
Well, one,
Jenna.
I do want to give more time if there is somebody else who wants to speak, but since
Mhm.
Agar, you called out the nutritionists of the group earlier, and I made a sarcastic comment about how we were going to force you all to eat things that you don't want to eat just because they're healthy. I just want to share that something I hear in conversations about food, and it doesn't matter if it's seasonal cooking or if we're explicitly talking about healthy eating, inevitably what I hear is language of good and bad. And I just want to challenge all of us, because I do it too, to try not to attach a moral value to food. There actually really isn't a morality associated with eating a piece of cake or eating a cucumber, or there is no morality attached to it. What I was taught that was helpful to me when I lived in San Francisco and first started studying nutrition was that all food is medicinal, in that all food has an effect on our bodies. And the decision in front of us at any given time, there are many elements of the decision, but one decision point is do I want that impact? Do I want that effect? Sometimes we do. We want to eat that piece of cake because we're celebrating and we like the way that the sugar makes us feel because it's going to wake us up and we're going to have more energy to party all night long, whatever it is. And sometimes we don't want that effect. And sometimes we want the effect of eating something that is like, I don't know, has like flaxseed in it, etc. So I try to use that framework because it helps me avoid saying this is good or this is bad, because what I find that I do then is I internalize that and I think I am good or I am bad because I have made a particular choice about a food. So that's I just can't like hear all of that talk coming from lots of different places and not say something about it. It's in the dietitian code somewhere that I have to speak up. So thanks for indulging me.
One thing that I can add.
Thank you, Jenna.
One thing that I can add with Jenna is any food is bad. It's a medicine. But the point is just to have the right portion and moderation. I think that this is a word that I always use. If you eat sugar, you need sugar in your brain to function. But what kind of sugar? The first and the following is add sugar. But sugar is okay, but it's with moderation, I think. The salt and all the food that you can imagine with moderation is good.
Okay, thank you. Moderation.
Can I say something about
Carol?
Jenna's
Yes,
last point?
yes.
So to take Jenna's last point one step further, I'd like to say, thinking about morality and food leads me down rabbit holes all the time. So when Jackie was saying oranges aren't in season, oranges are in season right now. This is citrus season. Of course, they're never in season in Maryland, but when we buy citrus in the winter, we're buying it from the United States or maybe, nearby countries like Mexico. But if we buy citrus in the summer, then we're getting it from South America. So then I think, oh, do I want to pay all the money for the freight and all the oil that's being used and adding to climate warming, or should I just eat citrus when it's this time of year? And then my next thought is, and then if we're not buying foods from South America, which are in season for them, out of season for us, does that mean we are adding to the destruction of the rainforest? Does that mean that the farmers, because nobody's buying, not enough people are buying their food, have to switch into growing drug food, food that turns into drugs? And it's the morality of it just is never ending, and it's so complicated and it's so hard to think about. And I wish that weren't so. And if anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. That's all I wanted to say.
Moral exhaustion. I don't know what means that. Jenna,
Yeah,
can
I
you say
didn't
something
coin that
about it?
term. It's from an author who wrote a book called How to Be Perfect, which is all about, but it is what I totally relate, Carol. That's all I can say to that.
Nice. Okay, so we have only 7 minutes left. And before Jenna put in the chat box all the event about Black History and Heart Month, I would like to wrap up and maybe bring up all the good contribution that we have made. So we mentioned that we need to be economically wise to eat what is grown in a specific season. And we also said that we need to eat what is useful for our body. We don't have to waste food. We have to continue to educate people so that they don't harm the planet. We also need to make a balance between cultural food, our cultural food and seasonal food. It's always about what is important for us. And I love the idea of Anna Rose, who said that we have to give ourselves grace. And Marlene, who said that we have to eat with moderation. And we also mentioned the fact that food is part of our life, and it's not easy to change certain habits, but we need to make healthy meat and healthy meals, and try to go step by step in when we want to change our habit. We also mentioned that we have to try to not attach the moral value to food, because all food have an effect on our body. And we have to ask ourselves, do we need that effect on our body? And Cynthia mentioned that all food are good. And the last thing that I would like to bring up here is moral exhaustion. I have to check it out and really understand what means that word. Thank you so much. And for the next month, it will be the National Nutrition Month. So please, if you think about any topic that we can discuss on March 15, let me know, email me so that we will have the conversation around that topic. I will put the registration link in the chat box, and Jenna will also send some of the links that we can, for some of the event that we can attend, and maybe report back when we will come back in March.
Yeah, so I added 3 links to the chat pertaining to Black History Month events. So the first is Montgomery Parks. They have a bunch of events. A few of them have passed, but there's a couple more coming up. Then their Montgomery County Public Libraries also has a bunch of film viewing and author talks this month centered around Black history. And lastly, partners of ours, Impact Silver Spring, are hosting a virtual film screening of Afrofuturism, I think an origin story, as I believe the subtitle. I'm definitely going to attend that one myself. I would love if others in the group did, and as Agar mentioned, we'd love to have folks report out on any one of these or any other Black History Month events that people attend this month.
Yeah.
Thanks, Agar.
No problem. I'm dropping the link the registration link in the chat box now for the next meeting. Oh, I think. Okay. Yeah, so we have 3 minutes left. Any last word from anyone? Just open your mic and say something.
I don't necessarily have a last word for the group, but Joshua, I need to get in touch with you, man. So make sure we stay in contact.
Anything else, Jackie? We are happy to see you.
That would be great. I'll send you my contact information if you wouldn't mind coordinating that through whomever that would be easy to. That would be great.
Great, I'll coordinate that through Agar.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming,
will
Joshua.
continue to attend the meetings.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and thanks Agar, welcome back. Thanks Jenna and Agar for tag teaming to make this happen. It's a great space to be in. And I just also want to say hi to Cynthia Wilson, who's zooming in from Puerto Rico. And but anyway, thanks Agar. Look forward to next month.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
everybody for all that
See you next
shared.
month.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.